In October 2025, a new and unexpected alliance between Turkey and Russia is sending shockwaves across the European continent. This partnership, forged in the shadows of shifting global power, is rapidly redrawing the map of influence and energy in Europe. Their deepening partnership is more than just a business deal. It represents a strategic realignment with consequences that reach far beyond the negotiating table. The world is watching as these two nations, each with their own ambitions and histories, come together in a move that could reshape the balance of power. At the heart of this alliance are sweeping energy agreements. These deals could create a new choke point for natural gas, placing immense power in the hands of leaders who have often challenged the West's authority. The pipelines, once symbols of cooperation, now become instruments of leverage and control. Europe's stability and unity are now under threat, as the continent's reliance on Russian gas is being reimagined and rerouted through Turkey. For millions of Europeans, the prospect of energy shortages and rising prices looms large, casting a shadow over daily life and future prosperity. Turkey, a key NATO member, is positioning itself as the main hub for Russian gas. This bold move could potentially undermine Western sanctions and challenge the very foundations of the alliance. Ankara's ambitions are clear: to become an indispensable energy gateway between East and West. This dramatic shift raises urgent questions about loyalty, trust, and the future of Western solidarity. European leaders are scrambling to respond, holding emergency meetings and searching for new strategies to protect their interests. Is Turkey drifting away from its traditional allies? Is Russia finding new and creative ways to bypass the sanctions imposed by the West? These are the questions now gripping the halls of power in Brussels and Washington, fueling debates and uncertainty. The decisions made in the coming months will shape not only Europe's energy security, but also its geopolitical landscape for years to come. As nations scramble to diversify their energy sources, the stakes have never been higher. As Erdogan and Putin draw ever closer, the world stands at a crossroads. Allies and rivals alike must adapt, reconsider old alliances, and ultimately choose sides in this new era of uncertainty. The Turkey-Russia Energy Pact is more than just a headline. It is a defining story of power, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of influence in a rapidly changing world. The consequences of this alliance will echo for generations, shaping the future of Europe and beyond. To truly grasp the complexities of today's geopolitical events, we must delve into the long, fraught history between Russia and Turkey. This relationship is not just a modern phenomenon, but a tapestry woven over centuries. Once fierce rivals, their empires clashed for centuries over territory and influence, each seeking to expand their dominion and assert their power in the region. These conflicts were not just about land, but about ideology and control. Yet, despite their turbulent past, moments of pragmatic cooperation have emerged, especially when both nations felt sidelined by the West. These moments of collaboration were often born out of necessity, rather than genuine friendship. This ability to compartmentalize rivalry and partnership is central to their modern relationship. It allows them to navigate the complexities of international politics with a unique blend of caution and ambition. The Blue Stream and Turk Stream pipelines marked Turkey's transformation from a mere consumer to a vital transit country for Russian gas. This shift has significant implications for energy politics in the region. Today's alliance is the result of decades of strategic pragmatism, not a sudden shift. It reflects a careful balancing act, where both nations weigh their options and choose paths that best serve their interests. Both nations prioritize sovereignty and flexibility, setting aside historical grievances to pursue shared goals. This pragmatic approach allows them to adapt to changing global dynamics. Understanding this intricate dance explains why Turkey, a NATO ally, risks alienating the West for deeper ties with Russia. It's a delicate balancing act that requires careful consideration of both immediate and long-term consequences. It's a calculated move rooted in a history where alliances are fluid and national interest reigns supreme. In this ever-changing geopolitical landscape, both nations continue to play a complex game of strategy and diplomacy. Recent high-level meetings have accelerated plans to make Turkey a major international gas hub. Erdogan and Putin's vision: expand the Turk Stream pipeline and build a new gas trading platform near Istanbul. This platform could rebrand Russian gas, allowing it to enter Europe despite sanctions. Russia offers Turkey discounts and payment deferrals, boosting Turkey's economy. European officials are alarmed, seeing this as a direct challenge to their sanctions regime. The EU is demanding clarification from Turkey, but anxiety is growing. The deal is more than commercial. It's a geopolitical gambit that tests Europe's resolve. Turkey's actions force the EU to confront the uncomfortable reality of a NATO ally working with its main adversary. For Moscow, the Turkish gas hub is a masterstroke in its economic standoff with the West. With traditional routes blocked, Russia finds a new way to sustain energy revenues and re-enter Europe's market. The move divides the EU, tempting vulnerable countries to buy gas regardless of its origin. This weakens European unity and gives Russia leverage within NATO by drawing Turkey closer. Turkey's new role boosts Erdogan's influence and complicates NATO's cohesion. Russia signals it cannot be sidelined. It adapts, builds new alliances, and projects resilience. The gas hub is about more than energy. It's about power and relevance on the world stage. Moscow is making clear it still has moves left in the global game. Europe faces a painful choice: uphold sanctions or secure affordable energy. Sanctions were meant to cripple Russia's war machine, but the Turkish hub threatens to undermine them. High energy prices and inflation are fueling public discontent, making leaders desperate for solutions. Southeastern European countries, reliant on Russian gas, see the Turkish hub as an attractive workaround. This risks deepening rifts within the EU and paralyzing decision-making. The crisis also exposes Europe's dependence on Turkey, giving Erdogan leverage to play both sides. Push too hard, and Turkey may move further into Russia's orbit. Too soft, and Europe's Russia policy unravels. It's a diplomatic tightrope with no easy answers. Europe must navigate this trap carefully to avoid a major policy failure. The Turkey-Russia pact is shaking the foundations of the Western alliance, especially NATO. Turkey's collaboration with Russia, NATO's main adversary, creates a deep contradiction within the alliance. The US faces a dilemma: pressure Turkey and risk losing a key ally, or tolerate its actions and weaken NATO's unity. Within Europe, the pact is fueling divisions. Some demand a hardline stance, others urge dialogue. This paralysis benefits Moscow, highlighting the West's internal disarray. If Turkey continues, it could set a precedent for NATO members to pursue their own interests over collective security. Trust and cohesion are at stake. The pact is more than an energy deal. It's a test of the post-Cold War security order. The West must rethink its alliances as economic interests and geopolitics collide. Leading analysts are calling the recent Turkey-Russia pact a significant geopolitical victory for Moscow, describing it as a strategic wedge that could further divide the Western alliance. Many believe this agreement marks a turning point, not just for regional politics, but for the broader balance of power between East and West. The deal is seen as a calculated move by Russia to strengthen its influence in the region, while simultaneously testing the unity of NATO and the European Union. Dr. Alina Rostov, a prominent political economist, points out that President Putin is skillfully exploiting existing divisions within the West, leveraging economic tools, especially energy resources, as powerful weapons in his diplomatic arsenal. She emphasizes that Russia's approach is not just about economics, but about reshaping the political landscape to its advantage. Across the board, experts agree that Europe has consistently underestimated Turkey's determination to carve out a path of strategic autonomy. This drive for independence is now reshaping alliances and forcing European leaders to reconsider their approach to Ankara. Dr. Ahmet Kasim, a leading foreign policy scholar, explains that Turkey's current foreign policy is less about choosing sides and more about maximizing its own leverage on the world stage. He argues that Ankara is adeptly playing both sides to secure the best possible outcomes for its national interests. Fatih Birol, head of the International Energy Agency, issues a stark warning. Even if Russian gas is rebranded or rerouted, the underlying dependency on Russian energy remains a significant risk for Europe. He cautions that cosmetic changes do little to address the core vulnerabilities. According to Birol, achieving true energy security requires Europe to accelerate its transition away from Russian supplies and invest heavily in clean, renewable energy sources. Only by diversifying its energy mix can Europe hope to reduce its exposure to geopolitical risks. Some analysts also suggest that President Erdogan is leveraging this high-profile deal to bolster his domestic image, presenting himself as a decisive global statesman who can stand up to both the West and Russia while securing vital national interests. For Western leaders hoping to counterbalance Russia's growing influence, experts argue that the West must offer Turkey a more compelling partnership, one that addresses both economic incentives and political recognition. Building trust and acknowledging Turkey's strategic importance are seen as essential steps in bringing Ankara back into closer alignment with Western interests, rather than pushing it further away. Ultimately, the situation calls for a smarter, more unified, and forward-thinking Western response, one that recognizes the shifting dynamics and adapts to the new realities of global power politics. Europe's best response is to accelerate its push for energy independence. The green transition, solar, wind, efficiency, is now a matter of security, not just the environment. Diversifying gas supplies and investing in LNG infrastructure are urgent priorities. Europe must also strengthen energy diplomacy with new partners in North Africa and the Eastern Mediterranean. Dialogue with Turkey should combine clear consequences for undermining sanctions with positive incentives for cooperation. Renewed talks on customs and support for non-Russian energy could realign Turkey's interests. Above all, Europe must maintain unity. Moscow's strategy relies on division. Collective gas purchasing and solidarity funds can help the most vulnerable states. The Turkey-Russia Pact is a test of Europe's resolve and unity. The Turkey-Russia Energy Pact is a stark reminder of our interconnected world. The choices made now will shape not just Europe's future, but the global order. Europe must balance energy security with its core values and unity. This crisis is a wake-up call for a new global conversation on energy security and cooperation. Only a transparent, cooperative, clean energy transition can reduce the power of energy as a weapon. The stakes are high economic stability, peace, and the future of alliances. Informed citizens and accountable leaders are essential to shaping a secure, sustainable future. The path is uncertain, but global cooperation is the only way forward.